Hey sausages, welcome to Circle of Tone, and a big month for me before we get onto the Iron Maiden stuff. Big month. I became a dad for the first time. Here's my beautiful daughter, Celestina. I know I did not name her after Celestian speakers.
Celestina, I can't take this no more. I gave you all my love, you threw it all away. Celestina, I wanna make you mine.
So I ended up just using what Adrian Smith used. He used an MXR10 band to boost. He also used the micro amp and also a tube screamer. So I'm not sure if it's the 808 or the TS9. I use the TS9. I used an old greenback Celestian speaker, but interestingly, they also mixed that in with electro voice speaker. They didn't give any more details on it. I suspect it's the old Mesa electro voice speaker. They used 50 watt and 100 watt plexis and JMPs around that time, a super bass even, not just the super leads. You could see all sorts of stuff in their backline. But I used a super lead, a plexi super lead. So let's get on into an in-depth look at the pedals they use and the effect that they have on the tone. Basically, they're all boosting, a lot of goosing to the boosting. So this is the Marshall. I've gone with the JMP 2203 style. They use usually 50 watt as between super basses, super leads, plexis, all between. So this is the best bass where I can show you the pedals. Ta-da. So this is the 10 band MXR EQ that Dave used to use. This is what it sounds like without any the other pedals that they usually use. And now to get a bit more like Dave Murray's sound, it was actually a bit flubbier. So that is where the MXR D Plus comes in. So Dave would always have this on. Always. The Tube Screamer, the TS9, also came into it. Hey all, welcome to Circle of Tone, and we're back at it again with the bands that have really helped my channel out. My biggest video to date, and to be honest, the closest I ever got to matching a band's tone was Iron Maiden from the debut album. So what have I got for you today? If you are an Iron Maiden nut and you want to know what gear they used, you're in the right place, because we go so deep on this one, so deep that I have a pamphlet for you. It's a book, a free book. It's by Ciao Ferres. Thanks, man. He contacted me and he's pretty much documented all of the gear that you could possibly ask for, from the 50s Strat to the Gibson SGs to the Gibson Les Pauls to the different flame types on them to the pedals they used. So let's get to the pedals. This is Circle of Tone, bitch. We don't mess around. And not only do I have the same pedals that they used, I have the era of the pedals from the late 70s, early 80s. So what we have here is, we have the old MXR Distortion Plus, we have the 10-band MXR EQ, we have the Tube Screamer TS9, and we have the Micro Amp. So I have pretty much all the pedals they used on most of those early albums. If you take one thing from this, if you want one pedal which gets closest to the early Iron Maiden sound, it's got to be the Distortion Plus. The TS9 was a bit too tight. You know, I think that was Adrian Smith's side of it. There's kind of a loosey-goosey feel, relatively, you know, compared to today. But there's another key to it as well. And on Peace of Mind, there was references in interviews to they threw mics all over the place. So they had mics all over the room. So I actually put a mic close-ish, because back then they didn't really close mic. I put one mic about a foot away, like I did on my original Iron Maiden video. But I also put one in the corner of the booth to get the whomp, to get the room. So then I've panned them left and right. So you've got one close mic and close-ish, relatively close for Iron Maiden, and then you got one in the room. So it's very important. You can't really, a lot of failures that people have when they mic up and try and sound like Iron Maiden is they do modern mic techniques, an SM57 right on the cone. The speaker that I used, there was one speaker that I wish I had, and they had an EV speaker. I believe that could be the early Black Shadow type of speaker, because back then Adrian Smith was starting to use the really early Mesa Boogie stuff on the Peace of Mind tour. So I think the EV speakers that they were using, along with the Celestians, because they use Celestians as well. I have a Eminence Legend, which might have been close to that type of speaker, but this is just the old 1969 greenback that I'm using on this. So guitar-wise, I don't have a Strat. One of them was it's a late 50s Stratocaster that used to be owned by Paul Kossoff, of all people, from Free. So he upgraded that with DiMarzio Super Distortions. But the other guitar was the Ibanez Destroyer, the Iceman. And also, Adrian Smith also used a Gibson SG on that album as well. So interesting stuff, man. So we got Celestians, we got the Distortion Plus, we got the TS9, we have the Micro Amp booster, we have the Graphic EQ, we have the Marshall, we have all of our ducks in a row. I used a Super Strat, let's put it that way, because he used the humbucker. When you push an amp, a lot of the pedals sound similar. Essentially, all you're doing is a boost. You're not really using the distortion on the pedal, classically, when you boost a Marshall. So they can sound similar. In the room, to me, the Distortion Plus is a little tiny bit fuzzier, a little bit spongier. It has a really good vibe to it. The Tube Screamer is a lot tighter, a lot more modern sounding, and the Micro Amp gives it a really good singing quality, like a violin type of quality on top of it. It doesn't make it go over the top. And in fact, at the end, I put all the pedals on, so that's 4 levels of distortion. The MXR is boosting, the MXR Distortion Plus boosting, we have the Tube Screamer boosting, and the Micro Amp boosting, and a fucking Marshall. And it still sounds good, because you can't fault these old pedals, man. So that's it, Iron Maiden, that era. I mean, this was actually recorded on an island in Nassau in Bahamas. I've actually been there. Iron Maiden would rent out, in the off season in the winter, they would rent out these hotels and the whole crew would be shacked up in these hotels with an open bar, and they'd have their equipment, and that's how they would write. So they would have a drink, they would party, but then they would get up in their pajamas, roll into the room where they had their gear set up, and they would write. Yeah, so if you are interested in gear, the link is in the description. Go check it out. And thank you, Tayo. Is it Kayo? Sayo? Chayo? I can't pronounce. I don't know how to pronounce your first name, which is terrible. But we are talking pages and pages and an illustrated history of a lot of their gear, and it's great. It really boggles the mind. The Galen Krugers, everything that they used in the past is all documented there in one big document. So if I miss something, it's going to be in that document. But I think I have most of the main distortions that they used. They used other pedals like Phase 90s and Crybaby Wahs and things like that. But I think I've got all my ducks in a row when it comes to the distortion aspect of it. And I love the sound, man. I love it. I love playing it. It's actually pretty... I was getting a little bit inspired because I'd be recording and I'd go off track just playing my own stuff, and I'd be like, oh, nope, stay in Iron Maiden land. And thanks to my patrons of Tone, the video that got the most views got demonetized, because it's not my music, it's fair enough, but it kind of is heartbreaking, where it gets hundreds of thousands of views and I don't get any money for it. But this really helps out the channel. You guys are awesome. So it's Richard P. and Co. And we have Benjamin C. We have David R. We have David M. We have Steve M. And we have Sharon S. You guys are awesome, all poking me towards the 100 on the Valhalla sausage meter, because then I can finally cut my damn strings. This predates. This proves how good the Ernie Ball Cobalt strings are, because I haven't changed these in years because I don't cut my strings. So you see one or two that I've gone in the meantime, which technically I haven't cut him. Ping. You guys are keeping these speakers flapping. Also, we have a Facebook group if you want to ask about certain aspects of recording or gear or whatever. Just search Circle of Tone in Facebook. We're over 2,000 strong. Some awesome bands there, some awesome musicians there, and a couple of funny guys as well with the memes. So share your bands, share your music, and share this video amongst your Iron Maiden friends. If you have Iron Maiden groups and message boards, things like that, let them know what I've done and time to check out my old video as well. Because that's how the underground supports itself. You don't have, if you can't afford the Patreon, all you can do is like, share, and talk about Circle of Tone. And I'll appreciate it, because my wheels are spinning a little bit. It's kind of disheartening, because I'm thinking of doing a video soon on how YouTube is keeping your band down and is promoting from the big three: the Universal Music Groups, the Sonys, the Disneys, and the Warner Brothers. So that's four, but I can count Disney in there as well, because they're part of the monopoly on music. Because people love Drake, right? He's an ex-Disney kid. He's being sold a bunch of bullshit, and YouTube have sold all of us out. Alright, chaps, coming up soon. There is a lot coming up, and one of them, check out this stuff. Blackie from Voivod. I got in touch with him, and he sent me some of his pedals that he actually has for the blower bass sound, and also a pedal dedicated for the Piggy sound. So I'm going to be doing a video on Voivod on Piggy, because Piggy, if you know me, you know how much Piggy means to me. And Blackie, I've done videos on Blackie in the past. So it's, how perfect is that, where I can mimic the gear that they had, plus introduce these new pedals as well that Blackie is putting out under his own business. And also going to be recreating White Stripes, Nine Inch Nails, also Jesus and the Mary Chain. All right, chaps, you've been awesome. See you next time. Circle of Tone. B is for Bowie.
So wherever the spiders, while the fly tried to break our walls, just the birds to guide us. So we measure our hands and should be righteous.
C is for The Cure. D is for Danzig. Mother. H is for Hendrix. I is for Iggy. M is for Metallica. No, that's black metal. Q is for Queen.